Hi, I'm Larry Johnson. I'm a professor in Texas A&M University in the Department of Veterinary Integrated Biosciences. Today we're going to talk about color illumination. So color illumination is a method of specimen illumination by which is used for light microscopy. It generates an even, and I emphasize the word even, illumination. So it prevents you from seeing the source of the light source, like you can't see the filament. You see an even illumination of the specimen. Color illumination is the alignment procedure by which it reduces the eye fatigue during long-term use. And here you can see how light's coming up from the bottom of this light microscope, and here's the condenser. The light is being condensed down and concentrated here on the specimen that you're able to see, and then you're viewing it with your eye. So basically, color illumination and the order of the steps are very important. It has 5 basic steps. One is you want to focus a specimen, and then you want to close the field diaphragm, then focus the condenser, center the condenser, and then open the field diaphragm. Since you close it, you have to open it at the end. And here we see a drawing of a microscope, and here we can see the field diaphragm, the condenser focusing knob over there. This is the condenser, seeing the light coming in, concentrating on the specimen that you see up through there. Ultimately, we will view it with our eyeballs. These are objective lenses that we rung in. This is the focus that we see. This is the stage alignment judgment that we see. So light's coming in through there. Field diaphragm right here is restricting how much light can go through. So basically, you focus the specimen, so you do that with the coarse and the fine focus, and then you close your field diaphragm. Close that down in through there, and then you focus the condenser. The condenser is this part right here, and you focus that by this little knob that you see on the side, and then you center it. There's a centering knob right here to center condenser. And you do that by you're looking at the field diaphragm that's closed. And then you open the field diaphragm at the end. So those are the 5 basic steps of color illumination, which is an even illumination system that facilitates you to maximize your viewing pleasure of histologic slides with light microscopy. Now this is the microscope we'll be using, and this is the image focusing knob. You got the coarse focus and the fine focus. This is a condenser focusing knob right here. This knob, there's one on either side, I think, that you can use, and that will make the condenser go up and down. It can make it go down too far, but don't let it go. It always up pretty much to the top. You ever pull up the cover of a microscope and you see the condenser way down there, you know that the person who used it last did not use color illumination, because you never have a condenser down that low. Here's the field diaphragm, and then this is the condenser centering knob. So this is focusing, this is centering knobs, and this right here is a stage position adjustment knob, so you can do that. So with color illumination, first thing is to focus a specimen. So you put a specimen in there and you find and coarse focus it. And then you close your field diaphragm. Here's the field diaphragm right here, close it down. And then you use this to focus the condenser. And then you center the condenser. Once it's focused, you can center it. And then you finally open the field diaphragm is what you're doing. So you first of all take the specimen, you put the labeling up. That is the cover slip is on the top part. Here's the specimen that we see there, never upside down, no way. So the cover slip is on the top as way, and you can read the label for you to see that. And then you use your stage positioning adjustment knob on the other side there to move the specimen underneath the objective lens that you're going to see. So we focus the specimen in through there as we see, and so we put it in there, and we can see this is the limits of the light. This is the viewing edge, as I would say, and this is really part of the housing of the microscope. That's the limit of it. All we can do is view in this circle here. And we see that we can see things, but it's out of focus. So you use these focusing knobs right in here to bring the image into focus. So we're in view and in focus is what we want to do. Now, it's important that the image to be in focus during the alignment procedure. So it needs to be in focus all the time. However, do not use the focusing knobs after the image is focused in the first step. Don't use that in subsequent steps, because that would foul up your Kohler illumination. If you find in subsequent steps that the image is out of focus, you go back to step 1 and then step 2 and then step 3 again is what you have to do. Don't use a fine focus after the first step. And so the next thing is to close the field diaphragm. Here you see the field diaphragm, and here's this field diaphragm. You see this is open, this is closed, and you close it down. And when you close it down in through there, you see a little bit of light coming through. Not a lot, a little bit of light coming in through there. This is with your naked eye. We're just looking at it, okay? And so the next 3 steps, we're going to they're kind of mixed together. We have the focus the condenser in through there. You're going to focus that, and then you're going to center it with the centering knobs, and then you're going to open the field diaphragm. And these are kind of together, as we see on the next slide. So whenever you first look in there at the field diaphragm through the microscope, through the optic lens, you see that something is fuzzy, a little fuzzy here. And so you focus the condenser by using these little knobs right here. You focus the condenser so that you can see individual leaves of the field diaphragm. So sharp edges of the field diaphragm indicates that the condenser is in focus. So this is the condenser is in focus. And you can see this is a viewing edge right there. That's part of the housing of the microscope. And you can see the light that comes through the opening of the diaphragm. So it's coming up through there. The next step is to center. You see that it's not centered. You can see it's not centered. And so you're going to center it there. And so in order to center it precisely, you have to open the field diaphragm. So you open the field diaphragm to view the edge and to use the viewing edge here, as a reference for the light source that you have there. So you're comparing that. You can see, I don't see any leaves here. I see leaves down there. That means it's not centered. That we can say. Okay. So the next thing is when a diaphragm opens, is concentric with the viewing edge. So when the diaphragm opening right in through there is concentric with the viewing edge, you see a little bit of that's all the way around. It's not perfect over here, but it's pretty good that we can see. So this is concentric with that one, then that means that the diaphragm is centered. It is centered in there, so your condenser is centered in through there. And then the last step is to open just outside of view. I don't show that here, but you open these lips just outside of view. Don't open it wide open. Just outside of view is where you want it to be. And so if we look at through the microscope and you see a specimen that should be in focus, and you can see the light coming through, you can see it's not centered. So this is a light that comes through the opening of a diaphragm, and here's a leaf. So it is focused, but it's over to one side. So you're going to, and you might note that you can actually observe the tissue outside the focus. And if someone hasn't used Kohler illumination before, they may have the light shining out the room and not into your viewing part. So if you can't get enough light, you're probably not viewing with the light that you need to do. And so the next thing to do is to center that. So you bring that light source over here by these centering knobs here. So when you play around with this, you can see that these knobs move the location of the light source that you see. And so you focus the sharp edges indicate that you're in focus that we see, and then you center it with the centering knobs. And here we open the field diaphragm just a little bit to be able to center it, same as what we said before. We use the viewing edge as a reference because you want it to come out concentric. So you want the field diaphragm view, the light coming through the field diaphragm with its sharp edges to be concentric with the viewing edge. And you have to open the field diaphragm. See, it's real close here. You have to open a little bit so you can view the edges, so you can make it concentric. And the very last step would be just to open up just outside of view that we see. So basically the 5 steps: focus the specimen, then you close your field diaphragm, and then you focus the condenser so with the sharp edges here. Then you center condenser, you open up the field diaphragm so you can see it with a viewing edge, and then you make it concentric, that is centered, and then you open it just beyond the view, and then it will be centered and ready to go with your microscopy. One thing about these things, you don't really crank and crank and crank. You don't crank and crank. You just move it just a little bit. Okay, I hope this is useful to you. Remember, color illumination basically have 5 steps. You focus the image, you close the field diaphragm, focus the condenser, center the condenser, and then open the field diaphragm. Hope it's useful to you. Hope it prevents eye fatigue. Hope it could be useful. Thank you.